How do you go from a few taco carts in 2017 to an 11,000 square foot warehouse, complete with kitchen and counter service in just a few years? Not to mention the 60 plus retail outlets and coffee shops where you can score an Austin style breakfast taco. We're going to find out.
Yes, so today on the show we have founder Liz from King David Tacos, which we're so excited to learn all about the story about how we've scaled. She's an Austin native and she makes good breakfast tacos in New York City, and they swear per their website that they're actually good ones.
I swear. I'm not updating that.
No, I like it. It's like it's a nice like southern nod. Like
I was just tired of answering all the. I was like, I swear, they're the ones. That's it.
We're gonna chat about your journey so far,
Yeah.
going from one cart to 60 locations and a new brick and mortar.
Amigas is a dish that is different depending on where you have it, but our Amigas is obviously Tex Mex inspired. So Amigas are an egg dish that starts with a base of either tomatoes, peppers, onions, or a salsa. You scramble the eggs in, and we do use fresh tortilla chips. And then when you make Amigas taco, this is awesome. Can you always be my kitchen?
Alice is prepping. Alice has julienne some peppers and some onions, as well as dice some onions, so we're ready to go.
Can I start?
Yeah, let's start rolling, and we'll keep grilling you with questions. So for our listeners not in New York City who maybe haven't come across one of your taco carts, tell our listeners, what is King David's Taco? Where are you to date? Journey.
So we started in 2016. I guess I should start by saying I don't come from food. I started in advertising in New York. I moved here right after school, UT Austin, which now you have to, I guess, clarify. But anyway, moved here after school, worked in advertising for 10 years, and then started this basically out of the desire to make a better grab-and-go breakfast. It's named after my dad, who, when I did first move here, he was like, you need to set up a breakfast taco stand in Times Square, because I was working in Plaza.
Was that like a joke? He was like, you should set up a
No, he was not joking.
He was like dead serious.
He was dead serious. And then he had Lewy body dementia, so the whole me leaving advertising and starting this was kind of inspired by the importance of living life to the fullest. And when I was fantasizing about starting this while I was working my advertising jobs, I always knew that the name would be King David Tacos, because he was his nickname. His name was David. His friends called him King David. It's meant to be ambiguously Jewish, but it's not.
Right.
Well, it's not really that ambiguously Jewish, but it's meant to be like.
I was curious. I was like, so there's nothing inherently Jewish about the dishes.
No.
So did your dad end up giving you capital for the first part?
No, not directly. So basically, when I started this, he was, ending the end of his illness, and I didn't have any capital, and I was like, how do I do this and not have any money now that I knew what capital meant? And so we started this catering company.
How were you finding customers?
I had a pretty robust advertising network, and I knew, from my time in advertising, that the breakfast options for client meetings and for team meetings were nothing.
So at first you were like, I'm going to cater for corporate breakfast.
Yeah, totally. I'm very passionate about food, but I'm not wanting to have a catering company for the rest of my life, so that was just kind of like the entry point.
Tell our people who are listening and not watching, what are we doing right now?
So right now I'm making rajas, rajas literally means strips. Typically when you see rajas on a menu, it's poblano rajas, and it implies also there's onions, so it'd be strips of poblano, strips of onion. So started as catering, but then was like immediately after that summer, I was like, okay, we've got something here, how am I gonna sell it to more people? How am I gonna be more of a consumer brand?
Have any startup capital for this, or was it literally I'm just gonna use the money when I need it and have orders and?
No, I'm like, what money did I don't even know, what money? I think I used a credit card. I built the website on Squarespace, and definitely needs to be redone now, but it was very scrappy, extremely scrappy.
So at what point were you like, okay, I proof of concept is proven, and now it's cart time in Times Square?
So I then started digging into, I tried to raise money, and I remember our first investor meeting, and I was like, yeah, I'm gonna get permits, and we're gonna do all these carts and blah, blah, blah. And they were like, cool, are you sure you can get permits? And I was like, I think so. And then I did more research, got myself a little more educated, and saw how hard it was. And I guess I should take a
How hard
step
it was
back,
to get the permits,
get the permits, yep.
to be a street vendor.
Yes,
Around
in New
New York
York
City.
City, yeah,
Right.
basically impossible. What I
Right.
found was, when I took that meeting, I had like done, some research, but, didn't know quite enough, I don't know, but then I dug into it and I was like, the only way to do this is through the Parks Department. But to back up is like, I always knew we could do the wholesale program or the retail partner program, or go straight retail, which I felt like carts were the option because it was easier to manage than like the overhead of an entire brick and mortar. To even understand, like, Boston didn't have a Starbucks until 1997.
Right.
Like, and we didn't get a Macy's until the early 2000s. Like, everyone thinks of Boston as this like big place, but it was like very much a homegrown atmosphere
Yeah.
for a very long time. Wouldn't have been prepared for it, but I said, okay, put that on ice. Let's go build the brand. Let's do brick and mortar, but we can't do brick and mortar, so how are we doing that? It's carts. It's impossible to get permits. How am I going to do this? So I just started emailing the Parks Department over and over and over.
So Shake
again.
Shack style, like the original Shake
Yes.
Shack was in,
Yes,
you know.
yeah, exactly.
And
So
a park, so you're like, okay, I'm gonna go
right,
for
and
these
so I
parks.
I had a lot of confidence in my ability to. Basically, it came down to you have to respond to RFPs. You have to present your case. Basically, you have to sell it, which is advertising. And so, I learned that skill of selling things in advertising. So luckily there was an RFP coming from Prospect Park, and there was one coming from Financial District, and I responded to both, and we won both. And so
How did you find those?
by emailing the Parks Department and working my way up, calling every day. Hi, I spoke to so and so yesterday. They told me that you could connect me with so and so, who said that there might be an RFP coming out. What's the timing of this other RFP? Just persistence. I mean, just really knocking down the doors of the Parks Department, who is sometimes a little bit opaque.
And why is the Parks Department easier to get a permit for than it's just a totally separate system?
Totally separate system. It's there's unrestricted permits, and that's on the waiting list from 2007. Impossible. They have a limited number of permits, and you basically have to wait for someone to die
Oh my god.
to get an unrestricted permit. And then
And
there's a
that's
whole
to be
black
able to have
market
a
that's
food truck,
involved.
right?
Where they are, you think that all these old men are hanging on to their permits and running their carts. No, they're selling those permits for $40,000, which is illegal. And I didn't feel like starting my business in
In
a
a risky fashion.
Yeah.
Okay, so you find how
So-
often do the RFPs come up for the parks?
So the one that when I first started talking to them, the one that they said was going to come out that year for a large amount of locations.
Yeah.
So there's some locations are owned. And let me say, any spot that's green on the map in New York City is basically owned by the Parks Department.
Right.
So I had kind of mapped out, I want to go here, I want to go here, I want to go here. So I was like, who owns Manhattan Park? Who owns Prospect Park? Who owns this? And sometimes the answer was a business improvement district, or sometimes the answer was the Parks Department. Luckily, Prospect Park Alliance and Alliance for Downtown New York both had RFPs coming out. I responded to those. That's what we
And at this point, are you still on your own? How did you
fund this. So in between this year, and I would be lying. I think all of those convertible notes closed in August. So I think in spring, once I won the RFPs, I did a friends and family round. Which
So how did you convince the parks to give you that space to win that RFP without any funding to essentially build the business?
I think that our idea was just very good, and they obviously saw the value to the parks. So, and to be honest, the rent is negotiable. You can propose your own rent. So
You propose your own rent.
I proposed way too much for Prospect Park.
Really?
But it's okay because it's our highest grossing location. There were 3 people who won that RFP in different locations, and I'm the only one who ever opened.
Interesting.
Wow.
Fast forward to Madison Square Park, I proposed a rent that they were that's very low compared to what people have paid in this space before, and I was like, and where are they now?
Right.
Yeah.
I think for all the parks, that's really what they want. They want someone who can operate consistently. One of the metrics that Prospect Park does is how many days of for their other the things that we were able to reference were other operators. They had a cafe in the middle of the park, and it's how many days did they operate the year? And it's 30.
No, really?
Yeah, but then maybe I'm exaggerating. Don't quote me on that. But
Yeah.
but it was they weren't open very often. Obviously, for Madison Square Park, that became a much easier sell. I was look, I operated rain, wind, sleet, snow for 2 years in other parks, so that was an easier sell.
So you basically started with the 2 carts at the same time, just because
Yes,
that's when the
I opened
RFP.
it, yeah, September, I just wanted to get them open ASAP, September for Prospect Park, 2017. And we raised $30K, which, you know, at the time was millions of dollars, but
But that's not much.
no, it's
To
not.
actually build a custom cart,
My carts were tiny. My carts are like the size of this island.
and then you had to rent a commissary kitchen though, to cook the tacos,
So then
right?
I was paying, yeah, so basically getting us on this daily production schedule allowed me to, so I was in the shared kitchen in Industry City called Hana Kitchens, where I was
Okay.
renting by the 4-hour block. Stress, like getting out of
Oh my
like
God.
the kitchen by the
By
time.
the minutes.
Yeah, by the minutes, people standing at the door waiting for you to get out, people getting into, you have a cubby basically for all your stuff, like people are, like I'm missing gloves, you know, when I walk in the next day, it's
Right.
just like nightmare. I always say there's like so many things that I've run into in the business that didn't stop me. I will never go back to a shared kitchen, it was tough, but it's a great place to come up. I learned a lot about how I don't wanna run my operation.
That's important.
Yeah, so yeah, we were in the shared kitchen, but then I was like, I can't keep going up, down, calling people, hey, I have a catering order, can you work tonight or tomorrow morning?
So you were taking catering orders, plus you had the cart.
Well, then, so the carts were enabling me to get into an everyday production schedule. So I was
Right.
gonna be open every day. So we rented out a kitchen in the shared kitchen that was ours permanently.
Yeah.
And then, yes, the commissary for the actual cart. We were non-processing, which is another decision I made about like grab and go.
Right.
I had to convince the Department of Health that a breakfast taco is the same as a sandwich, which was incredible of like how hard that was. The comp to inspection depot. Hold on, no, salsa first. Yeah, I've done this before where I did the eggs first.
So now we're gonna start the Amigas tacos. So we
uh,
just refried some beans with a little onion and oil, and now that's chilling to be our
Yes.
side dish.
And actually, because I assumed I myself thought I was doing eggs first, I put oil in here and I don't wanna do this or else it's gonna splatter. Okay, so commissary, now I was able to hire a full-time staff. I was able to have a kitchen that no one was entering daily, stealing things from me.
Oh my
You
God.
know, it was just like that. And then we were able
That
to
was a
start
game
building the
changer.
brand, and that's how we got our first review from Robert at Sema, and like that's how we became.
A brand,
A brand.
that's what you wanted.
Yeah.
So it was the 2 carts, the catering, and you had the.
And then I was like, all right, now I'm gonna go into coffee shops. So I started. We operated the carts for like a year to a year and a half, maybe.
And was the response immediate for that?
I think it did catch on pretty quick. I mean, we had the farmers market on Saturdays, which was a blessing.
And you were running 7 days a week
7 days a week.
at all the locations until
Yeah.
what time?
I mean, we definitely went out the first day with like, 400 tacos and like sold 50,
Yeah.
so it's like,
That's so good.
Compare a little bit of like
oh,
New York
100%. I
versus
used,
Boston that people are like tacos, right?
yeah, and the King David got a few looks, and then, yeah, tacos, what is a breakfast taco? That used to be like a big question, and we like, we don't, that's like in our FAQs and our training, like, what is a breakfast taco? I'm like, how do you explain this?
There's customer education, and
Customer
people are like, why am I
education.
eating tacos with my
The financial
coffee?
district was like very fast. I mean, I set up literally in front of the last ad agency that I used to work in because I just saw people. I myself felt like I'm going to work and I'm buying food from a bodega that I'm paying $12 for. My hair, I walk out, my hair smells like bodega, and I'm not satisfied with what I got. So it's pretty immediate, and that's how you kind of knew like there was a need.
Okay.
So yeah, the carts did it themselves. I always say, I'm like, if only we had invested in advertising, imagine what we could have done. Like I was doing our PR, like it was scrappy. It's still scrappy.
Still scrappy. Okay, so then
Tell us about the
tell us-
transition
yeah,
into coffee
exactly.
shops.
So, okay, December 2018, I feel like Bergen, RIP, reached out to me cold. Hill Country was like becoming our new landlord. So those were our first 2 customers. And I had always had my eye on Hungry Ghost, so I cold called him or emailed like through their website. Just like, hello, info@Hungry Ghost, like, or it's like a form, And I explained what I did, and he emailed back and was like, let's meet. And I guess I sold him on it. Marat, he was like, how do you know you're gonna be in business in a year? I was like, because I will. I just
How did you handle the like additional
scaling that?
scale for making the tacos? Were you still in the same
We were,
commissary space?
so we had now moved to our
But
own.
now you're in Hill Country.
Yeah, we're in in downtown Brooklyn in like their old catering kitchen, which again, like I was like, we're in a palace. This is a palace.
Right.
It's nice to keep upgrading. It's
Yeah,
moving in the
yeah.
right direction.
We got our own walk-in. I was like, this is the end for me. How did we handle it? I mean, the thing is that our product is made to scale. Like I made it so that, you could add on hundreds of tacos a night and you should be getting better utilization
Mhm.
of your staff, of your assets.
Are there varieties? Is it like one SKU essentially?
So we started with 2 and then we added, we started with cream bean and BPEC, we added chorizo. I'm trying to get this, the migas, by the way, the key is if you're doing salsa, you have to cook all of the water out, otherwise you're gonna end up with like a weird mealy egg.
Yep.
Right.
So I really reduce it down to just the guts, I guess, tomatillo.
Are you gonna take that out and then put
No.
the egg in? You
No,
don't
you
do
Put
that.
the egg
Got it.
in, yep.
So we're reducing down we have put green salsa in the pan, it's reducing down.
Three times.
So now you
11 Hungry Ghosts. You've got the parks going on.
Yep, we've got the parks, we've got Hungry Ghosts, we've got, who else was back then? I mean, COVID, we lost a few in COVID, but we just started expanding to other people, and Hungry Ghost, it served as the marketing vehicle, I think, for everything else, so is that partnership, and he and his team is really awesome to work with, and they were really successful because he was very analytical about his numbers, figured out which, some stores sell a ton of tacos, some stores sell less, but he was very on top of the trends in that way and was able to reduce his waste. And we assemble tacos now. You want to do it now?
let's do it.
Yeah.
We're ready. We're gonna flash our tortillas and
keep
assemble
talking after
tacos.
we-
Yeah, we can munch and finish our chat. So now you're in all the Hungry Ghosts. Did you have to tell us about hiring and if you had to raise additional capital to move to these next steps?
Yeah, now you're in the logistics as well because you're driving
Right.
tacos
Yes.
around to all these
Yeah, so
coffee
I
shops.
often joke that I just basically have a taco logistics company. Because
I was thinking about that when we were doing the research for
Yeah.
this episode.
I totally do have a taco logistics company, which is funny because even in advertising, my clients are always, it's not really a joke because it's not funny, but they knew I love logistics. Anything that involved how
Mhm.
things are coming together is what I love to really get into. So I combined the two. We have 24 hours, all but 4 hours of tacos being made, to
Wow.
being prepared to go out, to doing all of this.
And do you have standing orders at these locations, or are they
Yes.
changing the orders all
Yeah,
the
they're
time?
standing orders. Yep, that's part of the retail partner program. So we grew before COVID. We were at 25
Retail partners.
Retail partner locations.
Oh. 5 pre-COVID, and then so in the last 2 years you've added 35. Because you're at
So then we
60
lost
now,
half of them during COVID, and we were down to literally just Hungry Ghosts.
and you had 2 carts and just Hungry Ghost, or you have more carts
And
now
then we
too.
had Madison Square Park. We opened in June 2019. I swore I wasn't going to do another cart, and then that RFP. So the RFP that they said was coming out in 2017
Mhm.
came out in 2019.
Hmm.
So we opened. Yeah, I proposed. I was like, if we get it, I don't have to do it. And then we got it, and I was like, I have to do it because it's Shake Shack is the goal. It's always the goal, right?
The timeline's important. We started looking in November 2019. I had no idea what I was doing. I was like, I guess I need a broker.
Yeah.
I guess I need to, I don't know what.
Never done brick and mortar. You're
Right.
right.
Never built a production facility. Had a good idea from my experience in 2 different kitchens, but started looking, and then we started negotiating on a space right before COVID hit, and they pulled out when COVID hit. They were like, we don't want to deal with food, and I was like, okay. So we
Probably
kept
for the best.
searching,
I
and
don't
even
know.
then, yeah, probably it was definitely for the best. We got a much more favorable deal and a better location, but it was in the face of that, it was during COVID, I was like, do I keep doing this? Started conversations, then COVID hit, and I was like, I always knew we kind of might need to look into a bank loan, but then I said, I don't know what's going to happen with finding investors, so let's put more of our funding into a bank loan. So I think I was on I think I was using a city site to match me with lenders, and
The SBA is actually good for anybody.
oh, it was
who-
SBA site,
Yeah, the SBA, you enter all your
Yeah.
information for anybody who is looking for SBA lending.
yeah.
You do have to have some operating experience already. I think that's why it's challenging for most
Yes,
restauranteurs.
you couldn't have
but
done it
you are
at
a
the
perfect
beginning,
use
yeah.
case for it.
Yeah.
Looking to raise something that's a fixed asset
Yes.
basically
Mhm.
makes total sense to go that route.
Closed on the loan at the end of the summer, or finalized the loan, signed the lease. At the end of July, I had Rhea at 7-7. without having to give up more of our company.
That's
So,
amazing.
yeah.
Win-win.
Cool. Where do we find King David Tacos online, on social?
Yep, so everything is, at King David Tacos. Turns out there was not another King David Tacos. Turns out it was a name weird enough
KingDavidTacos.com.
to be on kingdavidtacos.com.
Cool.
And yeah, you can.
And you can find us at Tilit NYC and at We Are Opening Soon. And now you can watch the videos on YouTube.